Oh, the countdown's done. That means I should do this. Hello. Trying out a new setup. Go like this. And volume down a little bit. Hello, Adilio. That's how I assume it's pronounced. I could be totally off. Let me know if I'm wrong. So that didn't work. Perfect. Awesome. What I want to do is go like this, copy that, close that. Settings, PowerShell, integrated console. We'll set it to that. And then we will restart current session. I am streaming music as well. Are you able to hear it, or do I have to adjust it? Let's see if I go like that. How's that for sound? Still nothing. If I flip over to my left monitor, which is actually on the right side, on my right monitor, it's showing that it's streaming. Oh. Yeah, I'm... Okay, so I can hear my... hear my... Yeah. Okay, so I can hear my... Yeah. Okay, so why don't I have sound? Like, I can hear it in my head. This is clearly showing me that it's working. Let's go like this. Does that change anything? 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 Well, so I've never used Pretzel before, so that might be the issue I'm running into. Can I autoplay always on top? I don't know. I do want always on top. Oh well. There's one other thing I can try. First, we'll switch back to the right monitor. Sign up, sign in with Twitch. Yes. Play in browser. Okay, well, we'll just leave it. I don't. I do need to turn this off though. Here we go. Who needs music? Okay, so now if I do PS version table, I'm still on. Terminal integrated shell Windows. Okay, so if I go here, or I just create a new one. Take off the quotes. Okay, so that's isn't there a way to tell VS the extension? Oh, yes, it is a Christmas sweater, and it lights up somewhere. Well, if I don't have any music, I don't really need these. What do you need, monkey?
Daddy,
Monkey,
my toe.
you hurt your toe. Well, then you should go lie down.
I'm done my bed.
You're done your bed.
Yeah.
Can you go tell me if the washing machine is done? Because that would be like, just, that's how timing works, right? Is to start streaming and the wash is done.
Ow.
Please use PowerShell. Okay. Ah, there we go. So we'll delete that. We'll go over here. Because passwords. Yes, I would. Let's try this again.
Daddy, lights for the Christmas tree are lighting your way. When you first come into the basement, it's lighting.
Are they?
Up the wall. Yeah. They're all combining together to
Nice.
their power.
There we go. Now we're on 6.1. Okay. So what we've got.
I only heard like a chick chin, like a chugga chugga.
Like a chugga chugga.
Yeah, I only heard like that.
Okay.
I only heard that.
I don't know. I don't know what you mean by a chugga chugga, but okay. Oh, I see what
Sound
happened.
of a vacuum, but in a different kind of
Okay.
thing, not like the vacuum.
How is your room?
It's
Like,
good.
hello, rustworm. Yeah, yes, like a train, right, monkey?
Yeah.
Chugga chugga, like a train. We'll deal with the washing machine at like 20. I'll give it 20 minutes. Can I? How do I add a? I don't know how. So we'll just pretend. So, what we've got is a CUCM server that is at 10.10.20.1. It's running version 11.1, and I cobbled together some Axel, the XML.
Daddy, let me show
To
you
query
the
it.
papa rabbit.
Okay,
And then the mama
Yeah.
rabbit, and my
Sophia.
two sisters and me.
Mikey.
Sierra,
I'm busy trying to stream. Okay.
Mom. This is my dad.
Yep.
Sierra
It also
and
says.
Kira.
It also says that your room needs to be done.
Right now,
Yes.
my family.
It's been 3 hours. Have you done anything in your room?
Yeah, I done my bed.
Okay, I'll tell you what.
And my clothes.
I will come check it in 10 minutes, okay?
So what do I do for those 10 minutes?
You clean. You
But-
clean more. And then we'll turn the heat up. Because you cleared away from the register, right?
I started cleaning
In
there.
fairness, she's cooler than CUCM. That's not hard to do.
That is not too hard to do.
Hello,
but
Jim Gum 24. Thank you for
This
the
is
follow.
it took very much practice to do this.
You're amazing.
I
But
whistle like I'm calling the horse. That's very easy to do.
What, the baby or the left shark thing?
Yeah.
Thank you for the follow. Airy flip. Okay.
Look at the camera. Look at the camera.
Okay, one's there. Okay. You wave bye, and then you go clean your room, okay? 1, 2. Room's gonna be clean before Christmas, right?
I think so.
Otherwise, you know what that means.
Ted, you only said we ate all the chocolates, but I left the countdown.
Oy. So, what we've got is Axel, which is XML. Something to do with XML. Somehow, this one actually works. So, and what we're able to do is, if we F5 that, I think, if we have, okay, it is running. I always move it because when I'm working with the VS Code extension, I have like 30 tabs across the top and it gets in my way. Brian Makes, thank you for the follow. That's like 4 follows already, and I don't normally even have that many viewers. I don't know what to do with myself. I'm killing what, the stream? Okay, so we can invoke Axel, and in this case I don't actually need to do anything because it's done everything for me. But the validation process is true. The validation process says that it will always work. So you're saying it's all Mark's fault. Didn't know that he'd gone posted it over to our PowerShell. So why this literally worked? Yes. Oh, well, that's an interesting, that might be an interesting conundrum, because if I go invoke CUCM Axel, no, I dot source that. That one works. So this part, no, not that one, this one. So if we do this again, oh, right, okay. Restart the session. We'll try it without the validation callback. Actually, no, too late. I already did it. Too late. So, the issue that we're running into is that this certificate is not valid. Like, this is all a test environment put together by Cisco. This is one of their sandboxes. And I mean, the certificate's not even trusted by their server. like the server that they use in the sandbox. So, but so that's not trusted. This one isn't either. PowerShell exe. So let's, if I flip that back, because what we used to get, and this is what I would get at work. If I run this at work, you're gonna get PSCUCM. The error is that it can't establish the trust relationship. So the workaround, in our case, because we know that we're not going to connect or be able to connect with a certificate because it's self-signed and we're going to the IP instead of, and all that stuff, we just say that, yeah, all certificates are valid. Hello, Zadizzle. I am currently writing a PowerShell commandlet to invoke Axel commands against the CUCM server. Axel being the administrative XML SOAP interface, I think is how, if I recall, is how Cisco words it. And thank you for that follow, McDo, MCDO. I don't know. And so basically, the Axel allows us to give it an XML, send an XML to the server, and it will send back responses. Yeah, that's it. Administrative XML web service, because AXL clearly says that. Like, that's just in the acronym. You don't even have to Google it or anything. So what we're able to do on PowerShell or Windows PowerShell 5.1, and actually as far back as 4 is as much as I know. So we generate this XML, we send it to the server, and it responds with other XML. And so if we go assign that into a variable, then we can go splunking through the XML to figure out that kind of what it comes back with. In this case, it gives us get phone response. From there, no, it's not phone. Oh, it's called results or return, and then phone. And this gives us basically the output of the phone. So what I'm using, or what I will be using this for myself, and I can also go for, we can pipe it to, because it's XML, we can select it via the XPath. And we want the phone XPath. We can expand the stream, or the property of the node will give us the phone. And inside the phone, there actually, yeah. I just realized you can do this one. So the main thing is that we use CCX, Cisco Contact Center Express. We use the Finesse IP phone agent, FIPPA. And so there's a service on the phones that has a URL that looks something a little bit like this. So I was doing it in a way where I had to go through the interface here, and you go hunt down the phone. Once you find the phone, you get the name of the phone. You copy the name, Then you go to 10.1, 10.10.20.1, port 6970, .cnf.xml, I think. And you do it in a browser that's not Internet Explorer because if it's not Internet Explorer, it'll give you the actual XML. But then once I did this, then I would go and I'd get their user ID and their password and go to them and say, hey, your password's wrong. You changed your password and that's why your phone's not working. And here's the document that we send you every other week. And yeah. So by having created this commandlet, which right now in its default form will get me that phone, I can make that a little bit easier. So now what I was looking at earlier is their data dictionary, and how the database tables interact, because with this Axel, what I'm able to do is say get PSCUCM Axel. We can give it, no, it's not get PSCUCM, it's invoke. We can give it an entity that we'll call get, or that is called get SQL query, I believe. I have it over here. One of these random untitled. Oh, it's execute SQL query. So the entity is execute SQL query. We give it parameters of SQL equals, and I'm going to copy the one that I have because I have it somewhere. That's not the one. Good. This isn't going to work though. Oh, it's not as bad as Microsoft SQL. Yeah, basically, we post XML. I created it so that I can post the XML, or I can formulate the XML. They do have surprisingly decent aside from finding the data dictionary to be lacking, Cisco, there we go. Apparently I have it bookmarked. But so in Axel, you don't want to look at the actual WSDL. It's a bad idea. The schema reference, so we can go get phone. Over here. So the XML that it expects in. Thank you for the follow, Toby Plays. as I was saying that, so get phone. Apparently it doesn't load properly here. So the XML that it expects looks a little something like this. So this would be, this part will be get phone. And then this ends up being name mine in our example. So basically all I'm doing is using my commandlet or function to populate this part from the entity, and then these parts from the hash table. So the hash table is like name equals mine, so the key goes in the XML. Because with the SQL one, these end up as SQL on the outside here, and then your SQL query inside, and then this is execute SQL query. And I figured I really did not want to make like a dozen different functions that all end up doing like creating this. I will probably create my own helper functions that'll be like get phone, and it will just invoke the CUCM Axle with the proper stuff, so I don't have to like constantly be building these hash tables. But yeah, the purpose of it, because there are Axle interfaces that accept more than one. And of course this isn't loading. Schema reference. Let's try a new private window, see if it behaves differently there. No. But part of it is that the we get requests for, oh, who's in this? And yes, you can pass SQL queries right to Axle. And the interesting part, actually, I wonder if, yeah, so you can add groups. Like, it really is a full administrative interface for it. The problem I'm running into, and why I'm trying to look at this data diagram, is I don't know what any of the tables look like. How's your room?
Good.
Your room's done?
No. It's kind of good though.
Okay, you go continue cleaning and I'll bring this up.
I'll blow it up.
I will blow it up and then bring it up. So, because I'm like I've taken over systems that have a database, and I've been able to go in and look at the database and look at all the, like, basically create one of these myself. But by going into the database and looking at the data and seeing how it interacts, I find that easier to wrap my head around than just trying to look at one of these diagrams. Because I'll know that, okay, I'm looking for the number. I'm going to go into the number plan. I'm going to find the number, and I'm going to see that it has foreign keys. But yeah. Because ultimately what I'm going to build another function that'll be off screen stream that goes to Active Directory and gets the phone number out of Active Directory, and then from there it works its way backwards to figure out what phone they have and get the services off that phone. So but kind of for right now, like, we've got this one. Actually, let's go set the language to PowerShell. No, and then hit commandlet get phone by DN. So we're gonna have the DN, then we're also gonna have the server. That's actually gonna have to be a string because your phone number could be 0, start with a 0. Yeah. That's kind of, and it wasn't until like I figured out, like I found out that you can execute SQL as part of XML that, thank you for the host, Mark. I don't know if you're in chat, but it wasn't in, like I would be looking in the Cisco forums and people would be like, well, how can I get this information from Axel? And the response would come back, well, here's the SQL for it. And I'm like, but they asked you for Axel and you gave them SQL. And it wasn't until I stumbled upon completely by accident that, oh, you can execute SQL as like through Axel, that I understood why people were saying, here's how to do it with SQL. Because I kind of do it with, don't know why that changed the way it did, but we do it with, or I encounter that all the time at work. Like I'll have something that I pulled up in Power BI and I want to do it, and I'm like, well, but I know how to do it in SQL. So, that being said, now that Mark is here hosting, it's actually 20 after 3, and it's 5-ish minutes after I said I was gonna go deal with some laundry. So I'm gonna go AFK for a moment. And when I get back, I'll do at least this get phone by DN. Yeah, I get what you mean, Adilio. I kind of had when I came to the realization of how the Axle worked and that you could do SQL queries through it and stuff. It was a totally new realization. Wait, if I go like, interesting. Particularly because like what I was doing was this one here, Untitled 3, I think. No, Untitled 1. So what I would do is I'd get the XML file for the phone, like, so this is the, like, where I showed when we went to that page. But the problem was on either the first line of the actual XML or the second line of the actual XML, it contained like XLS : data or something like that, and PowerShell kept complaining that, well, that's not valid XML, and you need like the WSDL or whatever. And so to get it to work was well, basically it just took replacing the colons in those two lines. But I've since learned, like, I don't even need to do that. I can ask Axel for the information. What do you?
Here, put my tablet in one of your books.
In one of my books.
Yeah.
Well, you ask her to get it.
Okay.
Because she's the one who put it there. And yes, this is the ISE because, as I've, yeah, this is Cisco's. This is Cisco's VM, and it's just easier. I mean, I did install Razor SQL, which apparently can't. Or apparently, it would do what I want if Cisco allowed me to do what I want. But unfortunately, Cisco doesn't let you directly access the database in CUCM. They let you access it directly in CCX, the call center software, but not the call manager software. It might be that CCX doesn't have an Axle interface, and therefore the compromise is you can just go straight to the database, or maybe not. They also don't recommend going straight to the database on the SQL or on CCX, just because if you hit it too often, it can cause it damage. Just a moment, though. Serenity now.
The password goes as
Oh.
so.
I can do that. So, no, not that one. So basically, and these are just because I have them in my it's a test environment, but also knowing that this is a single, like an Axle user that can only, well, actually, this user might be more powerful than I initially wanted it, but we'll see. But basically, as parameters, it just takes the server name. This would typically be like cucmserver.domain.com. And the Axle version, I'm learning, doesn't seem to matter as much, because initially I had it saying Axle version 8.5 and everything was still working. So, but then it takes like the entity that you're looking for and the parameters, and then it creates the headers for your invoke REST method. One of the keys is that you have to tell it that it's XML that you're giving it, and that you want CUCM database SOAP or the SOAP action, and that the authorization is basically base 64 encoded string that is the username : password, which naturally makes it incredibly secure, but that's the way they ask for it, which is also why it's going to be likely using an application user that is created for this specific purpose, not using our Active Directory credentials and stuff. And then we step through all of the keys and generate the inner XML for down here. And then once we've generated the inner XML, we generate the full SOAP body, and we tell it that the certification validation callback is always to return true. I think I'm going to be able to remove this once moving to production that has a valid certificate, but that remains to be seen, and I don't really feel like installing their certificate for Cisco's sandbox, like installing it as a trusted root certificate on my PC. So and then we just invoke REST method. In Slack, it was suggested to do the web request, but what I figured out was that if we do it as a web request, then we just have to convert it to XML, or we have to convert it from XML into an object, whereas this just gives us an object back. So there is that. And then, so we'll do this one. I don't think I'm actually gonna, so as I said, this is basically just gonna be an invoke CUCM Axle. Entity is no. Entity in this case is execute SQL query. Parameters are SQL, and that's going to equal, move this over here. do that. And actually, because that's getting hard to read, we'll go, CCM, I don't know, go like this. Entity equals, wrong one, copy that, paste that, parameters equals, nope, equals, we're going to go like that. Gonna go like that. And then all I need now is a bunch of backticks. I don't need it. Actually, I don't need any backticks because I can go select name from device. And we'll put the where on another one. I'm sure that. Never is the right time for backticks. But by doing the here string, I can split it over multiple lines. And then I can do such things as, is there an transform to uppercase? Ah! This is amazing. True. Yes, we do need them for escaping characters. Also, I'm just gonna leave this as device because that to me makes more sense. These A, B, and C. Well, one. Why don't I leave them in until I actually figure out what they are? Device num plan map. The uppercase thing, if you go Control Shift P or hit the F1 key, both of those are the kind of the hotkeys, and then I just typed in the word uppercase to find it, and did transform to uppercase. The nice thing about Visual Studio Code is that once, like when you pull up that command, the most recently used one is right there at the top. Actually, it's kind of, I think it's in the order of when they were last used. So, and yeah, you could definitely map that to a key. Go like that, and then B is numplan. B is numplan. Someone's, oh. So then I can just take that out completely. And to me, this is easier to read than A, B, and C. I get the reason behind using A, B, and C, mostly because it's easier to type A dot this, B dot, and in, that's why when we look over, actually I don't think I even need it. When you look down here, you have this $4, because that's stupid easy to type. But I find in my scripts, and like anything that I'm gonna possibly come back to in 3 months' time, or 24 hours time, I'm gonna want it at least in a way that I can read it a bit better. So then what I'll do is save this file as get phone by DN. I feel like the indenting is off on these. In that this, oh, I see. Is that better? I think I had one too many. And then I can go at CSAM Axle. So now if I hit F5 and I do a get phone by DN and I give it the DN1234, it should come back with that. And again, if I assign that to 4 and then, oops, I guess I don't have to assign it to 4, but 4 allows me to then do the select XML XPath / is it name? Yeah. So if I went like this, dot node, I still need to so what I actually think I want to call this is get phone name. So this one is get phone name, and then if we save that as get phone name, and then this might be getting too inception-y, but if we go, so get phone by DN, because then what we'll actually want to do is oh, and actually that's the part I forgot out here. No. Server equals server. So we can pull the server over there. But so phone name equals no. Why did that not? Oh, now it works. Now it works. What do we call it? Name. So if I go expand property node, does that work? Does that work the way that I think it'll work? It does. So that'll give us the phone's name. And because we can, go like that. And then now that we have the phone name, we can invoke CUCM Axle. But again, we're going to go with CUCM Axle equals that. We're going to just start with server equals server. Entity equals get phone. Parameters equals that, and name equals $sign, nope, not $sign phone name. So then if I go like that, we'll run that one just so we get that. We'll run that one. Get phone by DN. Give it 1, 2, 3, 4. A select XML XPath of service. Oh, let's try this. So run that one. Run that one. No. Goody. So if I put that there, I can then go like this, right? No. I put a breakpoint there, and then I think I have to run it. And then I can go and hit my breakpoints. Okay. I don't think the server should be there. I might have made a mistake. CUCM Axle ... Oh, I see what I did. I need it there. So now if I go a envelope body is get phone response. There we go. Select XML, X path, / service. We can expand the node, and that gives us our service. Now I have a sneaky suspicion that well, actually, let's go like this. XPath service select expand node. That's not gonna. So that's that. So my ultimate goal, now that I'm able to actually pull information from CUCM, what I want to be able to do is when we get a user request come in saying this user needs a new phone, we have the phone, we have the MAC address of the phone, and just put it into a PowerShell script and it provisions the phone in CUCM for us. We use a spreadsheet. We use this thing called Smartsheet. It's, from what I can tell, it's mostly just Excel. It has some other features that make it beneficial for some things, but it has an API. So what we might end up being able to do is tap the Smartsheet API to pull. We have a dial plan in there that says here are all of our extensions. Here's the names on those extensions. So when we get a request of this person's left, this new person's coming in, they're getting their phone, we can, I envision having just PowerShell scripts and hopefully like a GUI to run them through or something, that we just fill in the details, hit go, and it updates our dial plan, it updates our CUCM, or more importantly, now that I can pull stuff from CUCM programmatically, we might be able to do away with a Smartsheet entirely and just have like a scheduled task that creates this spreadsheet for us. Because let me be honest with you, if you want to know what extensions are active, you go to the phone system, because the phone system guaranteed accurate. If it's not in the phone system, it's not active. The Smartsheet, sometimes we forget. What was I coming in here for? Oh, what I wanted to test is, I think these ones, that didn't work because they don't have services. Okay. Yeah. So like I already have a script where we give it the employee ID, which is in the Active Directory employee ID field. We give it the extension that we've given them in the phone system, and we give them our ticket number. And what it does is it updates Active Directory with what their phone number is, whether they have a direct dial number, and one of the 3 patterns that a direct dial number could be based on their extension, or the call in through the auto attendant. So it updates their phone number that will show up in Outlook, and then it also populates the IP phone attribute, which we use which we pull into CUCM as their extension, so that when we use Cisco, I can't even remember, CUACS, Cisco Unified Attendant Console. So our reception uses this to manage their phone. They can type people's names in. It has all the extensions in it. And so that's pulled out of the IP the IP phone field in Active Directory. So my script updates that to match as well, and then it generates an email to the new user and the new user's manager, and says, we provisioned your phone, this is what your extension is, here is how you get into the voicemail system and set up your voicemail, and here are, more importantly, here are the rules of what your password for voicemail can be. It can't be sequential numbers, it can't be like the same number repeated. Thank you for the follow, Thakin5. The other thing it can't be is numerical representation of your name. So I don't have a like, so like Corebob couldn't be, what is it, 242 or 24, yeah. Well, we ended up having to do it because we have a well, no, because I also have in my so I wrote a function that basically takes their name, splits it out into a character array, and for each character it figures out what they're like. On the phone, you know how it's like the number 2 is A, B, and C, and then D, E, F, and all the way through. So it figures out what their name is in that numerical form, because that's what the phone system is using. And it puts that in. It says, as an example, your first name is this, so as numbers it's this, and your last name is this, as numbers it's this. And so basically it tells them that. And then it emails, and it emails into our ticketing system as well. So we know that, okay, that part's been done. Where was I going with this? So ideally what I want to see, aside from turn off these notifications that keep buzzing my watch, what I'm going to want to do, thank you for the follow, Andrew T. Childs. What I'm going to hopefully expand upon that script that we already have that updates Active Directory and stuff, and just have it do everything. Do the CUCM side of it, Smartsheet if we keep, if it still lives there, and whatnot. Let me just turn off these notifications because they're going to drive me crazy. Until the alarm tomorrow morning. There we go. So, ooh. So yeah, and then the other one that we get, a request that we get often enough to potentially automate is, we get users that ask us, okay, who does this hunt group ring? And so in CUCM, like, so I've shown them, and I've given one of them read-only access, and I said, okay, so you go in here, and you go to route and hunt, then you go to hunt pilot, and you find the hunt pilot, and of course in this case, because this is a test environment, there are none. But so you find your hunt pilot, yeah. From your hunt pilot, you select your hunt list is there, and I think it showed, no, your hunt list is there. So then you click on edit, which takes you to your hunt list. So you have a hunt pilot, it goes to a hunt list. In a hunt list, you can have multiple line groups. Once you finally get down to the line group, which again, we don't have any. Yeah, screw. Okay. So once you finally get down to your line group, you'll see something like this. And so you'll have the joy of, okay, I got to pick one. And then over here will be the description that finally has the name of that person. And then you need to go back and and you got 20 or 30 people in here. Well, this is the lookup you have to do. I tried exporting this stuff into CSV from CUCM. It is a 500 property long CSV file. And yeah, no, you don't want to try and query that. You want to try and query the date, because each row is like a thing. Let me show you something then. So this is what I so under bulk administration, if we go to import export, I don't currently have this on GitHub. I'll probably be putting it up. It'll be under GitHub/Corebob, and once I come up with a informative name for it. So far, the only the biggest part of it is this invoking the CUCM Axle. I'm also going to it will be able to take a credential object, because that's how you should be passing username and passwords around. But right now it doesn't, mostly because I'm using the Cisco sandbox. But let me go here. Where is that? Make sure. I'm actually going to go like this for a moment, just so I don't accidentally do anything I don't want to. Let me copy this, close that window, and then I really need to get like text up on that screen or something, so it's not just a black box. So Andrew, what I'm currently using is this sandbox from the Cisco DevNet, which is what actually I guess I can pull up the sandbox. That should be no problem if I can find it. So in the sandbox you can log in, like you've got GitHub, and of course I lost the screen. There we go. So you can log in with GitHub, Google, Facebook, a Cisco ID. When I'm at work, I use the Cisco ID. Here I'm using my GitHub one, so I'll just log in with GitHub. It does seem to kick you out a lot more often than I would have liked, because then what I ended up having to do is, there we go. So it takes you back out to this login page where you have to log in again. So under reservations, I've got one active reservation right now. You can reserve them. These ones are, like the one I'm using is free. I have it. You can reserve it for up to a week. The default, when you just say reserve now, it gives you 12 hours. It takes 15 minutes for them to spin it up, and then you have access to it. You have to use Cisco AnyConnect to connect, but I mean, so I've connected with Cisco AnyConnect. There is a server 2012R, whatever this server is, I think it's 2012R2, that you can, so like I've used it to RDP, and that's mostly where I did a lot of, like where I did the initial bulk. I had no idea about this until Friday when I was looking at the actual documentation, and they're like, try our sandbox. And their reasoning for the sandbox is that you can go in and you can play around with the Axle, and you can it basically gives you a test environment. Because what I was looking at doing and what I was thinking of doing and just never got around to it because it took effort is I've got extra servers. Like I've got 3 servers sitting around this room plus a bunch of PCs. I was going to put ESXi on one of them, and then I was going to install CUCM and Unity and that reminds me. I think there's a Unity. Is there a Unity in the sandbox? No. So, and they have different So this is collaboration 11.5 because we have 11.5. I think they have a collaboration 12 as well. So no, this doesn't have Unity, which I guess kind of makes sense because reasons. I mean, I have to see if I can find a Unity one though, because my automation goes out the window if I can't do Unity as well. But so it's like so it gives you a Windows 2012 directory server, which has Active Directory on it. Yeah, so this forgoes me having to spin up my own Cisco Home Lab, particularly because you only get like a 170-day license, which actually that's longer than I was thinking. For some reason, I thought it was only like 90 days. But so you only get like a test license. Otherwise, you have to pay, and no one in their right mind is going to pay the cost that Cisco charges just to get a test environment. If you can just like, so I was gonna have to like looking at that. I was gonna automate like how do I rebuild this, and I was gonna do it here, and then I was also gonna do it at, like once I had automated the process for here, I was just gonna give it to my server team at work and say, we need this here. We need you guys to run this whenever we need to like do this stuff. And then I've since just like 2 days ago discovered this, and I went from not being able to do any Axel stuff, and the biggest fear of mine was like, what if I run a query and it hoses the server, like the server just crashes or whatever. You don't want to do that on a production system for 500 users. Especially when that's, of those 500 users, like you're also talking the CEO and like the entirety of your company's management. Is you don't want to just accidentally kill all their phones. So the one thing I've discovered is that their username is administrator and the password is Cisco PSDT. I don't know what the PSDT part stands for, but all of them, that's what like all of them are when you go in here to environments or attributes. So the nice thing is like this is like I have another day and a half, and I can extend the time if I want. Or what I have been trying to do is be respectful of Cisco. Okay, I spun one up on Friday. I played with it for a couple of hours, and then I had no plans to do anything else with it. So I hit this button to end the sandbox, because I figure if they're giving me this for free, I should at least be nice and say I'm not using it anymore. I'm gonna give it back. Someone else can, because the other thing is I think they only have a limited number. I mean, the last 2 days I haven't run into any issues getting it, but this is definitely a good, like a nice thing to have where you can go in and you can try out things. Particularly, I was gonna show you so I think if I submit that, yes, I know. Oh, no, I don't know. So we're gonna submit it. Yes, I know, and I don't have all dependencies, yada, yada, yada. So now if I go into the job scheduler, and of course after I rambled on, Andrew probably left, and it's like, screw this guy, he's just rambling. But if so my export is completed, which is, I mean, I should have known that it'd be a quick, because I don't have many on here. So download that, save that, open the folder. So what I'm going to need to do is actually copy that over to copy it over to here. Extract the tar file. So inside the tar file, there's a header text file, and then there's the line group, or the CSV file. I'm going to do this again because my, well, I don't know why. Excel has my name on it, and it's more, it possibly has more than just my name if I do it wrong. But yeah, but it apparently is fine. So if you so this is a line group. The way that they export a line group. And if you come along here, like you've got DNR pattern 1, and then DNR pattern 2, and then DNR pattern 3. So to find it from the CSV, like you have to, for each line, you have to find the ones that are titled DN or pattern to get their number. Then you have to go back to the directory number export that you would have done. And this is like, so this is only going to S. The one that I export from work goes, as I said, like some of them are 500 rows wide. And they're awful to try and work with. But Axel, on the other hand, Axel appears much nicer. Because it looks like I can get that stuff direct from Axel. And if I can't get it from Axel, I can get the SQL. I can run the SQL on it. So, what am I running and why? Okay. Yeah. So far this is foregoing my need to set up a home lab. It doesn't have all the niceties of actually physically having phones on it, but I mean, I don't have a gateway, so if I did have a home lab, like it's calling all within my house, and technically it's all within this one room, so that's kind of a waste to spend all that setup time for. But this is not, so we select object, because we want to be explicit with that. So this invokes the Axel. This is getting the phone. Okay. Yeah, so we get the phone name, and then we pass that name along. I think I have more than enough, and actually, I don't know if you can see it, right? It's not a police phone box or TARDIS or anything, but this right here, I'm gonna try and outline it. This is an infrared sauna, or the pieces of an infrared sauna. So I mean, I should set it up, but I don't know where I'd put it. I think I have a height issue in this room because I can't even stand flat foot under this light here. Like it's about 6'3" to that light. So, anyways, so minimize that. Minimize the bar. We'll save this one as, what do we want to call it? I think I want it phone services by DN. And I don't want to save it as a text file. Who saves as text files? Jeez. But, I mean, the other thing is, rename your function. No. So this one comes in. Gonna get phone by DN. Oh, this is actually, see, I think this is all that this one is. Because to do, like, really all we need to do is get the services. We can already get the phone. So we'll hide the bar. So now if we go get phone services by DN 1234. Bonus points if you spell properly. Pro tip, spelling is important. So that gives us that service. Oh, this has been refreshing. I didn't. Has it? It has not been refreshing. It was a lie. Anyways, this is the one we want. So we go device settings, services. See, at work, I think we have a whole bunch more services because I seem to recall, or no. I think the templates that our vendor set up for us have a whole bunch more. Where can I download I can't download CIPC from here, can I? Where is application? IP phone address book synchronizer. No, I can't. Urgh. I don't think I can get. You can't get CIPC without a valid or an active support contract. Plus, CIPC is terrible over RDP. Like, it doesn't work. And if you RDP into a box that has CIPC running, when you log in normally, you won't be able to hear the end user, but they'll be able to hear you until you close CIPC and relaunch it. Pro tip: I don't know if you guys are using Cisco IP Communicator, Andrew, but if you do, be forewarned, RDP doesn't like it, or it doesn't like RDP. I think actually in services here, see, these ones show up on my work ones. I'm sure of that. Maybe. get phone by DN. Return it might be that I want phone. You know what? I think I actually want XML XPath phone. Because I actually only want I only ever want the phone to come back. So, so on the topic of the CIPC, Andrew, from our experience, we've never been able to get CIPC to work through an RDP session. One of the things is CIPC is very particular about you can't launch it unless you actually have a mic plugged into the computer. So if you have a desktop that doesn't have a built-in mic, you have to have a mic plugged in before it will allow you to launch it. Otherwise, it just sits there saying, no, I don't have a mic. But after that, we found that like with RDP, it's difficult to pass sound through RDP just in general. But we found that we couldn't get it to work at all. And then my coworker who remotes into his desktop, when like RDP's from a meeting room, he's doing a presentation. When he comes back to his desk, he has to relaunch IP communicator. But yeah, and on the topic of IP communicator, there is a registry key that you can open up. I don't know if you guys have like if you're using shared computers or anything. But if you need the ability for your users to change their device name, you can open up access to the HKey local machine registry key that it stores in. Then normal users are able to change their device names. That was kind of one of the things that we ended up doing for our one of our locations that has like 5 computers and 10 users, and they needed to be able to switch their phones around. Because otherwise you have to launch CIPC as an administrator in order to be able to change its device name, which is not something that you should give to plain old users. So I could have sworn that this had more to it. Could have sworn that I'd seen could have sworn. Run this again. It's not so much setting a registry value as changing the permissions on its registry key. I don't have I don't have my I got out to my car on Friday and I'm like, oh, my laptop is sitting on my desk. I took it off the dock and then I put it down on the desk and walked away from it. But I knew I wanted to work on some of this stuff over like, because I'm not going back to work until Thursday because we're closed for Christmas. So I knew I wanted to kind of do some work, but now I'm just streaming, which works out better. So, but there's I think it's HKey local machine software WoW 6432 node, and then there's a Cisco or Cisco IP communicator or something like that. If you allow all users to write to that registry key, when they go into the settings of IP communicator and go to, or preferences, and go to the network tab, that entire tab will be available to them. Normally it's grayed out unless you're running as an administrator. It does also allow them to set their own TFTP servers, but it's kind of a, if you need the ability for users to be able to change it, that's kind of the only way to do it. The other thing that we've run into is that CIPC will only run one instance, no matter what user runs it. So if you're doing like a hot desking situation where you have multiple people using the same computer and someone just locks the computer and doesn't close their communicator, no one else will be able to launch communicator. But that's kind of what you have to work with when working with users. So 4. Okay, maybe the mist and stuff doesn't come through, so that it might be that I was the old way that I was doing it. It shows up in the XML, but it doesn't show up as configured on the system. So what I'm wondering is, I go lines. So there's the UUID. Let me go back and make this 1, 2, 3, 4 because I know what that one looks like. Well, I kind of know what that one looks like. It's also CIPC, which I have experience with. All these other like CSF and stuff, I have no idea. So, one of the things I'm gonna do, move this over here, move that, no. How do, right there, nope, there we go. I'm playing around with the OBS Live and just finding that the chat was further away than I'd like it. So putting it right on my second screen right there, instead of having to look at the other side of the second screen because, you know, reasons. Anyways, now the question is, can I look phones up based on their enterprise alternate number? Because this is what we have at work, is we have a 4-digit number, and then we also have an enterprise alternate number that's the 3-digit number. So and of course the IP phone in Active Directory is the enterprise number. So I also kind of want to do this again. Oh. Let's try this again. Nice. So what I could do, so actually the real fun part is that get directory number doesn't appear in the, oh, like, well, nope. Like there's no directory number. There's dir number, alias, lookup, and sync. And I can get those. But there's no like get dir number. Oh. But there's list dial plan. Okay. This is the biggest pain, is that Firefox apparently doesn't like this. So this dial plan takes so at least one element under here. Oh, that just would take me down here. So search criteria is either name or description. So can I go, actually, let's go back to too far. Of course, the funnest part of this is that it appears to be just generated by a program. But it's better than having to try and figure out the specification based off the XML file for it. List. List line. Maybe it's line I want. Apparently, when on stream, it doesn't want to work. Get line. Okay, well, we'll try and just randomly get a line, won't we? See, the problem is I don't know what get line takes. Get line. Oh my goodness! That's what's going on. Is this thing freaking scrolled? So pattern is what I want. Is it because I had find and replace? That's all I have to say. So not name. Pattern equals the specified line was not found. So why was 1011 found? So what was it about the pattern 1011 that it liked, but it didn't like 1, 2, 3, 4? So directory number, and it's on that 1, 2, 3, 4. I wonder if it's the lack of partition. Route partition name. Oh, there's the dryer. Before we're gonna take that out just so. Okay, so is it comma or semicolon? I guess we'll find out, won't we? Route partition. I think it's actually semicolon. Now that I'm thinking of it. Name equals global learned enterprise numbers. I'm glad that ours are much less. Yeah, I didn't like that. hash tables are semicolons, apparently. No. Route partition name. Okay, do I have to get the route partition first? Let's go back here. Apparently I cannot, for the life of me, spell partition today. Get route partition. What is this? Okay, close it. Go away. There we go. So get route partition name UUID. Okay. You know what? We'll go like this. A.envelope.body. So if I go like this, I don't understand. It was working. Or no, it never worked, but so that route partition is correct. Did I forget to save or something? Global learned enterprise numbers. Save. When in doubt, click save 7 more times. Select XML-XPath. Envelope return. That is probably what I want to do. So what I want from this is invoke rest method select XML XPath return. Select object, expand property, node. Save that. We'll hit F5 on that. We'll hit Control B. We'll hit up. Because when our axle comes back, we don't care about the envelope and the body, and the entity that we called. We know we called it. We care about its actual results, which always appear to come back in an element called return. So we'll just go straight to return. And shout out to Chris for teaching me about XPath, because this has saved me so much time. And it also allows us to do it where we don't care about anything that comes before return. We just want to get straight to return. XPath is best path. See, but then when we go in here, whoops, this is what I want to scroll up. Pattern, route partition name. Why can't I find the one that's on a route partition though? Hey, monkey. What are you watching?
It's about animals.
Is it about animals?
Yeah.
You want to show it? Is that what you're doing?
Yes.
Wild Kratts. Is that on Netflix?
Yeah.
Okay. Okay, what are you doing now?
I'm gonna go.
How does your room look?
Good.
Good enough for Santa?
Yes.
So it gives us a calling search space. If I change that, select expand 9. Just save us a little bit. Well, oh. Call forward all, call forward busy. Okay. So if I said busy internal goes to 1, 2, 3, 4, busy external goes to 1, 0, 1, 1. I'm assuming busy is external and busy int is internal, which apparently it is. So but you don't like where my pattern is that one doesn't exist. 1, 2, 3, 4 does exist. Is this another case of I don't know how to read? Get route partition. No. I want I don't even know what I want anymore. Get line. Right, go to the top of the page. Just waiting for it to load. what is the plus? Or what is this? Does that mean that it's like get route partition name is oh my god. Oh, because that's in get line. Okay. That's language PowerShell. Let's go like this. instead of what we are trying to do. Get line, no. Get phone is charged. In case anyone cared. That's what I was looking down at, so. What does F12 do? Yep. Go to definition. That's a bad idea. I think there's actually an issue open for that already, so we'll just leave it. F8 is what I meant to do. No. Oh, this all has to roll into a file. Into a module, because otherwise it's not going to end well. And route partition. So what if I do route partition name? I can. I don't know why I haven't. Oh, and what I also know is that you have to do PowerShell, not capital P, capital S. If you go into set language mode here, you need what is in parentheses, not what is over here. So like this would have to be C# and this CPP. Because yeah, that was fun to learn. I mean, it wasn't all that difficult to learn, so really. The question is, so get line. So if I go like that, and then I go like that, will this work? No. So are we like, nesting crap? Oh, there we go. UUID. That's why it was looking weird. Okay.
Hey, Dad.
Hey, child.
Did you order candies for dinner?
Sorry?
You're streaming.
Yes, I'm streaming.
Can I
My
say
goodness.
hi?
Oh.
How do you hi me?
Yeah. Yeah. Cameras. The camera's the thing with the light on.
Okay. What are you doing?
Adilio says hi.
Hi.
Well, he says hi ye or something. I don't know how to pronounce what he said.
Hey, Clover, you probably already know, but yeah, that's what I think. Hello.
Yeah. Is that what you think?
Merry Christmas, everybody. The camera's there, but I can't stop from looking over here, Dad.
I know. I know.
I got PJs.
You got PJs from Grandma.
Yeah.
You got them because Grandma's not home for Christmas.
No. What is that?
What
right
is what?
now.
Sorry?
Right now.
Right mon. That's right monitor. Even though it's on the left side, don't ask. I gave up trying to rename them the fourth time around. Okay. It's 5 o'clock.
Can you get dinner? I'm hungry.
How long have I been streaming? I've been streaming for 2 hours. Jeez.
Really?
Yeah, really. Okay.
Who's put up with you this whole time?
That's a good question. I know I've barely put up with me this whole time.
Mommy hasn't come down masquerade yet. Hi, you should
I think
check
I've.
out
Oh, you can read it. Finish reading.
for your daughter kids at elementary are using it to learn locate programming in second grade. I'm not in second grade.
Okay. Hey.
I'm not in second grade though.
There. I don't think they were trying to imply that you're in second grade. I think they were mentioning that code.org. I think I showed you code.org. That's where you could program Minecraft.
Oh.
I can get you set up with that again. Your big sister's was doing Scratch. We could get you set up with Scratch too. If you ask your mom really nice, we might be able to get a Raspberry Pi that comes with Minecraft on it and programmable. But we'd have to work that out with Mommy.
I'm in fifth grade.
You're in. No, you're not.
Yes, I am, Dad. I'm in this guy who's class that's 5'6".
Okay. It came for the PowerShell, stayed for the cuteness overload. They take after their mother. That's why they're so cute.
Hey.
Okay.
Sierra takes after you, Daddy.
Okay.
Her hair's a mess.
And so, are you saying my hair's a mess?
When you grow it out, it's not curly.
It's not curly.
You've never had a real beard. It's just very short.
I love you too. That is That's my lack of hair. Yes.
Here.
Okay.
I'll go.
Can I finish what I'm working on now?
Bye! Can you get dinner later? Can you get dinner
Yes, I can get dinner later tomorrow. Yes, we'll
soon?
get
Merry
dinner tomorrow.
Christmas! No, I want you to get dinner today.
Let's see. Okay. I know that you like Wendy's.
Bye, everyone!
Serenity now. Serenity now. Get line. Partition name. No. Get line space route partition name. Pattern get line. Wait. What if I go like this? Nope. HTTP status 599. I've never heard of HTTP status 599. Here I was thinking that maybe I could give it Axel version 7 and it would just act like Axel version 7, which apparently can do it. Using the 8.5 schema reference because it's multiple files. It uses a gig of RAM to open. 8.5 you can use UUID or pattern with route partition optional. Well, so what if where are route partitions? I know they're it's like right in front of my face, isn't it? Which one am I looking at? We'll go back. Classic control. That's where it was. Okay. What if we go like this? Hulk smash! which chatbot was that? Was that when I tried Poshbot unsuccessfully? Because I switched over to using Run IRC and just connecting to IRC. So now when you talk about shirts, Corebot will interact with you, and if this ever says like 1.1 or 7.7 or anything like that, which it, by the way, will never say that. This was a debug thing I should take out, but basically it generates a random number between 1 and 10, I think, and it takes the current message number and modulos it by 10, and if they match, then it just clears out chat and then gets all upset saying like, look what you made me do. Which, I mean, I can go, oh, okay, fine. Dev Corebot. Yeah, so it's random number between 10. So like here's the counter is the number of messages, including pings. So when the server sends a ping, like here it did here, it increases the counter by 1. And eventually, so if I go like that, and I talk about the shirt, the script is actually paused and not executing. That's good to know. I did not quite realize that. What I could do is actually write verbose that. Close that. And then if I keep talking about the shirt, now at least I'll have that there. But really, only Romero talks about the shirt, so. So, I think I'll give it say 20 more minutes of bashing my head against the wall, and then apparently I need to go get dinner and stuff. Where is that's the no. Okay, so route partition. I'll need a part 2 where I actually get something. Well, there I wouldn't say I don't have something constructive. I already have something constructive. The struggle is real. So if I leave that as blank and I go 1011, just because this guy is saying that it's almost like it doesn't work with, oh my goodness. Route partition name. When did this guy post? Months ago, so not likely to get a response. I mean, the good news is, even if I can't get this solved by like Thursday, I can email our vendor and say, hey, like, can you guys look at this and escalate it to Cisco? Working with Cisco via IDM. Okay. So that one works. One doesn't. Am I doing something silly and see, because the thing is, this is of type Axle API. But like, so pattern is required. Assume that's what this means, is that it's required. Minimum occurrences is 1, max is 1. This one's not required. We see that it works without it, except in instances where it has that. And then if we go like this and said UUID, we determined that this doesn't work. And if we go to here, it still doesn't work. Yeah. If I go like this, that works. Yeah, I think what I'm going to do is hit this button and just call it here as opposed to bashing my head against this wall. Thank you, everyone who stopped by for the stream. I probably take a couple of days off here. I mean, tomorrow's Christmas Eve, and then Christmas Day. I can probably be back Boxing Day, and then we'll go from there. I mean, might also be might also stream tomorrow. We'll see if the mood strikes. I'll definitely be updating with a actual schedule, hopefully, in the new year. And yeah, let's see who's streaming right now. Let's see who's streaming in science and technology then. And once in science and technology, let's see maybe about programming. Oh, Tim's streaming. Let's give Tim a raid. Let's see if we can raid him. I don't know if there's anyone still around, but we'll try this out. Did that work? Oh, there we go. There we go.